But I think that that is the draw, really, of tabletop role-playing more than, some other kinds of games, is being able to have the freedom of coming up with creative solutions and creating those more cinematic moments, which I think is the reason why you can do a D&D movie effectively, because that has a similar feeling to it. Alex, we've been talking a lot about games in movies over this episode, but I wanted to talk to you, delve a little deeper, and talk a little bit about the cinematic quality of role-playing, because I started to realize when I was watching these movies that a lot of people who are not familiar with role-playing games probably don't understand the more cinematic aspects of it, the more dramatic aspects of it. I don't know if you've found this when you try to talk to, especially people that are a little older than us. Have you had that sort of issue before, or has anyone even asked, I guess?
I don't know that anyone's ever really asked.
I guess the thing that I would put in front of people is that a role-playing experience is not just the math of games. If you're used to something like a puzzle game, it is also the storytelling and social experience of actually playing that. And so if you were watching like a Dungeons & Dragons movie, that experience kinda is what people that play TTRPGs are hoping to have. That sort of adventure where you get to play a character and you get to go on this epic adventure. And I think that if people were to watch that movie and want to get a feeling of what the game is or what it's like, you might get that experience. Let's say I wanted to do almost like an Honor Among Thieves sort of experience for people, to explain to people how this might run. I don't think that there's really anything different from the movie, so to speak, that we would have to change over if we were actually playing Dungeons & Dragons. Like, your characters' backstories could be set up in the same basic way of, your barbarian getting kicked out of their tribe, and the bard having this history with the Harpers, which is a whole thing in itself, and going on this quest to steal an ancient relic, and a druid as a freedom fighter, basically. It makes pretty good
those
sense
are not
overall.
too out of the realms of things these character archetypes would be doing.
Exactly. You could set up characters that have similar backstories, but again, that's all in the minds of the players themselves and what they want to do. Now, the actual quest line and the driving force is about creating your plot and creating the catalyst events that lead you from point A to point B. There's no reason that somebody running the game, because that's what you would have a game master running the game, couldn't set up a scenario where this is the magical MacGuffin, essentially, that's going to help you complete your quest, and then put a bunch of obstacles in your way for you to try and overcome.
Right.
And it is also very likely, in similar fashion to the movie, actually, that you would wind up with these intricately laid plots that can easily be undone because of the actions of characters. And the fun thing about that is that in so many ways, campaigns run like that. You have this idea that you're going to be able to go from point A to point B, and the people have to go along that line, but that gets completely thwarted by the actions of the players themselves and the characters and who they are.
That makes me think it'd be really interesting to run a campaign where no matter what the player's plan is, as a dungeon master, you make sure it goes awry.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can set up the premise of what they want to do, but make sure every plan they have, like the stone thing, let's say that they figure out this complex method that should work. Just make the first thing they do go wrong.
Yes.
That way they have to rethink everything on the fly. It would be, I'm pretty sure it would be annoying, but great and hilarious and good improv. But at the same time, if they were aware that you're going to fuck with every plan they make, maybe they'd be okay with it, but feel like if
Possibly.
you just kept doing it, they might complain if not.
You might have to find a logical reason in similar fashion to how storytelling usually goes, at least the best kind of storytelling, where this happens because of this other thing. So if you could jury-rig that a little bit, where because of the action that you took over there without you understanding it, butterfly effects out.
Sure. Maybe you give the group an item, like a cursed item. They don't know it's cursed, but it's like bad mojo.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, every time they try to do something that, like, puzzle break or whatever, it just, like, makes it fail. It turns every success into a fail.
The fun thing, too, that I noticed in that movie that feels very reminiscent of playing a role-playing game, they came across... about halfway through the movie, the what they call the hither-thither staff. And the hither-thither staff is basically a portal gun in the world of D&D, where you can say hither to this side and thither to the other one, and that you can see, a point that you can see. And you can go from one side into the other portal. And that they utilize that to get around all of these obscure traps over the next, like, portion of the... in order to try to get around these things. But ultimately, in many ways, they come up short. And these plans also end up failing because of things that they did not plan on. You can totally put, as we find in that particular movie, you can put one of your portals onto a painting and hide the painting so that it goes into the magical vault. But if the painting then falls down flat on the floor, then the portal is just facing the floor, and you can't go through it. So now you have to figure out how you're getting around that.
You poke your hand through the portal and push the painting up.
Lion flesh, what are you gonna do?
You make sure that you put it on a painting that's got beveled edges.
Yes, that was my thinking, actually, was that next time, beveled edges. You make sure you have that.
Nice gilded frame.
And I like the fact that they, like, go, oh, I have a plan on how you get around that. And then they try that, and ultimately, that doesn't even matter because of another problem that they didn't account for. And a problem after that, and a problem after that. So, in a lot of ways, that movie does do a good job of exemplifying what it's like to play D&D, as I was saying before. But those are also things that you in your normal campaign are probably going to run across. I know from my experience playing different campaigns that a lot of times your plans will go awry, and that's just by its very nature. In fact, I think it's harder for your plans to actually succeed because everybody has to do the correct thing in order for it to work, and you usually try to come up with a creative situation in order to get around it.
Yes.
That also offers interesting opportunities for character development and to try and figure out what your character would do in certain situations. It is not the same as I think people might be confused about as if you were to play a game like Risk or Monopoly, where you roll dice, you go around a thing, and there's specific win conditions. For those who don't know about it, it's not like that. The role-playing games are not really about win conditions that are defined particularly well at the start, or how you actually succeed and win. It is much more about building a story and you really playing a character. Which I think is actually one of the reasons why it's kind of weird that it took so long to get, like, a good version of a D&D movie, because it lends itself so well to that same kind of storytelling experience. Like, role-playing, there's also a reason why you see so many of these streams that popped up with the live playing, where it's like voice actors or, cinematic actors that will play these games and seem to have a knack for it, because it's a similar skill set of embodying a character itself. You don't have to play that way. We've talked many times on the show about how you could go back to the roots of like being more of a strategic game?
Don't know. I don't play with a table with miniatures and things on it because that's just a giant, even more of a time sink to deal with that. And it's like,
that's Warhammer.
Yeah, if I wanted that, I'd play Warhammer. Which,
yes,
I will say, they should figure out a way to make a solid Warhammer RPG that is also conducive with table. Not tabletop RPG like D&D, like Wrath and Glory, but like something where I can take my small squads of guys on the table and do this roleplay type scenario or whatever. Anyways,
right.
That's neither here nor there.
But I think that is the draw, really, of tabletop role-playing more than, some other kinds of games, is being able to have the freedom of coming up with creative solutions and creating those more cinematic moments, which I think is the reason why you can do a D&D movie effectively, because that has a similar feeling to it. You can tell stories in a similar way to a movie about Dungeons and Dragons. You can do that at home, and obviously a lot of it's done in the mind, because you don't have the cinematics to go along with it, although technology is starting to catch up with us on even that front now, with virtual tabletops and the like. But that is really the draw for the uninitiated, for people who might have gone to see like the D&D movie or that was your first experience understanding like the role-playing games as an aspect, is that a lot of players are chasing something to that effect with their friends or with other people. They're
chasing that dragon.
They're chasing that dragon, but the dragon is not Cocaine Bear.
It could be.
There has to be a boss in a game of D&D that is just Cocaine Bear.
I will workshop it and let you know what I come up with.
There's probably already a stat block for Cocaine Bear.
It's got rage, but like times 3.
It's a barbarian bear. It's a barbarian.
It's a barbarian.
It's a barbarian. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. We need more barbarians. And you can play it. I think that's actually a combination of a barbarian and a druid, because you're just constantly in wild shape.
Oh, that was going to be what my character did if you went down the barbarian path, so...
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great.
Anyways,
so to try and explain to a lot of people that might have seen a movie and wanted to know why the tabletop experience has been around for half a century now, that is the reason, because it allows people to play in a game that gives a shadow of that sort of cinematic experience that you went to see the movie for. And it can be a lot of fun, especially if you have a lot of people that are buying into the same storyline and are working together to create that kind of intricate storyline and have fun doing it. You will see that when people play online and in live plays, and maybe even in ones that I was in, where things just kind of get a little bit wacky, but everyone's there for the same purpose and joining in for the fun. There is a cinematic quality to even watching something like Dimension 20 or like Critical Role, because there is a very big correlation to that, and it's the reason why a movie about it seems like it could have been done at any time in the last 50 years if they had done it correctly, and not whatever that 2000 movie was that I think missed the mark for most people. There's a real interesting cinematic, almost movie-like quality that can go into TTRPGs, and hopefully now that people have seen the movie, they get the idea of like why we play that. Why do you play tabletop role-playing games, or do you? And if you have a specific one, which one would make a good movie? I'm thinking actually Vampire the Masquerade.
And they didn't do a movie.
No,
right.
But they probably could pretty easily. Yeah. I think that would make... Oh, you know what they should do? They should make that Star Wars RPG into a movie.
Oh, yeah. Loosely based on Star Wars.
Galaxy's Edge, right? Or the Edge, something like that.
Edge of the Empire?
Edge of the Empire. Edge of the Empire, yep. Galaxy's Edge, I think, is the theme park, now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you guys should make a Star Wars movie. That would be be cool. People would probably go to see that.
Maybe. Depend what number it is. Anyways.
10. Wait for it, it's coming. Let us know in the comments down below.